Good evening, children. Welcome to Prerna Welfare Society under CSR City online classes. Myself, I am Anjaneyulu. Then yesterday we discussed about one of the important physical feature about Himalayas. Today, so let us moving on. The second major relief feature of our country was Indo-Gangetic Plains. First of all, in order to understand Indo-Gangetic Plains, everyone should know about what are Indus, Ganga, and so Brahmaputra. So what are Indus, Ganga, and Brahmaputra? River Indus, River Ganga, River Brahmaputra are the perennial rivers. So what are perennial? Perennial mean the rivers which flows continuously throughout the year by melting of glaciers. Okay. So what are the perennial here? Indus, Ganga and the Brahmaputra are the perennials which flows continuously throughout the year. Okay. So let us moving on. The formation of Indo-Gangetic Plains are how they were formed. Right. So 20 million years ago, 20 million years ago, 20 million years ago, the interaction of Indus, Ganga and Brahmaputra, the plains were formed, right? So 20 million years ago, there was a shallow basin which formed along the feet of mountains. Now these are the feet of mountains now. On the foothills of Himalayan mountains, there was a shallow basin was emerged. That shallow basin which filled with gravel, dust, debris and sediments for 20 million years, isn't it? So this entire basin is filled with sediments, isn't it? So it has taken a lot of years. There was a long time has taken for the formation of this Indo-Gangetic Plains. See, for the formation of these northern plains, river Indus and Ganga, so both the rivers play a vital role. Clear? So this entire Indo-Gangetic Plains can be divided as three broad divisions. How many divisions are there in the Indo-Gangetic Plains? Three broad divisions are. What are they? First one, Western Plains. Western Plains. Second one, Indus Plains. Central part. Central Plains and the Eastern Plains. Eastern Plains. Okay. So entire Indo-Gangetic Plains can be divided as three broad divisions. They are Western Plains, Central Plains, and Eastern Plains. So let us moving on. Western Plains. So Western Plains, which formed by River Indus. River Indus and its tributaries played a vital role for the formation of Indus Plains. So the major portion of Indus Plains lies in Pakistan. Minor portion is in India. The minor portion is in India, which situated in Haryana and Punjab states only. So we call them as Punjab and Haryana Plains. Okay. See, next coming into Central Plains. Central Plains in between Western Plains and the Eastern Plains. So River Ganga, its tributaries played a vital role for the formation of Ganga Plains. Okay. So where are the Ganga Plains? Ganga Plains situated majority in the state of Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, West Bengal and Jharkhand states. Minor portion is in Punjab and Haryana. Now, the eastern part of Punjab and Haryana states also have the Indo-Gangetic Plains, means Ganga Plains. Okay. For the formation of Indus Plains, Western Plains, Central Plains, River Indus and Ganga, both of them played a vital role. And their tributaries also. For example, for the formation of Western Plains, River Indus along with it, its tributaries, they are Jhelum, Chenab, Ravi, Beas, and the Satluj. Jhelum, Chenab, Ravi, Beas, and Satluj are the tributaries of Indus. Also played a vital role for the formation of Indus Plains. Okay. So these rivers which emerges over the Himalayan mountains and moving towards to west and joins with the river Indus. River Indus at Mithanport in Pakistan. Mithanport is a place in Pakistan where the tributaries of Indus joins. That is why the major portion of Indus plains lies in Pakistan. The minor portion is in India, where in Punjab and Haryana states only. Okay. So when we talk about central plains also known as Ganga plains, isn't it? So why? Because river Ganga played a vital role for the formation of Ganga plains. Clear? See, and its tributaries also. For example, river Yamuna, okay, Ram Ganga, Gandaki, Kosi, okay, Teesta river, and next to Chenab rivers, next Yamuna river, okay, Kosi. Okay, all of them played a vital role for the formation of Ganga plains. Right now, see, but we have seen two different or two important features in the Ganga plains. Okay, we will discuss about the important features. First one is about Babar. Okay, first of all, let me understand what is Babar mean. So Babar is one of the zone which consists of pebbles. That zone which lies along the feet of Shivalik mountains. Now these are Shivalik mountains now, isn't it? Along the foothills of Shivalik, so okay, now we found a pebbles zone. Pebbles. How the pebbles were formed? The river Indus and Ganga brought the gravel and pebbles deposited along the feet of mountains. You know, river not only carry the water, but also carry the dust, debris, and also pebbles. So these pebbles which deposited along the feet of Shivalik mountains formed as a pebbles zone or pebble sediment zone. That pebble sediment zone is called Babar. It is a pebble sediment zone. Pebble sediment zone. Important. So one more question. What is Babar? A pebble sediment zone which porous in nature, formed along the feet of Shivalik mountains with 8 to 16 kilometers. With 8 to 16 kilometers. Okay, is called Babar. Okay, I hope you understand how the Babar zone is formed. Actually, Babar zone is a pebble studded zone, okay, a pebble sediment zone which formed along the feet of Shivalik mountains with 8 to 16 kilometers. This is one of the feature of central plains or the Ganga plains. It is one of the feature. Next, second important feature is Terai. Terai feature, right? So what is Terai mean? South of Babar zone, okay, there was a wettest and marshy tract or marshy region is called Terai. Terai. So where was Terai situated? So let you see the Terai zone which lies south of Babar. As I told you that Babar is a pebble zone with porous in nature, right? The rivers are the streams which flows under the Babar zone. The rivers and the streams which flows under the Babar zone and reappear south of it. Re-emerged south of it, formed as a swampy or marshy region. Swampy or marshy region, swampy or marshy region. Okay, is called Terai. Okay, so where was Terai situated? South of Babar zone is called Terai. What is the feature of Terai? The feature of Terai was marshy or wettest part or swampy region. This is always wet because the rivers flows under the Babar zone and re-emerged here. Okay, so then the water flows continuously over this zone, continuously. So due to this reason, this place is always wet. This wettest part which lies south of Babar zone is called Terai. Okay, one more question. What is Terai mean? Okay, swampy or marshy region which lies south of Babar is called Terai. So these two are the important features we found okay, over the Ganga plains. Okay, so let us moving on. Eastern plains are okay. Two parts finished. First one is about Western plains. Western plains also called Indus plains. Next is central part. Central part is also called Ganga Plains. Right now, next to Eastern Plains are. Eastern Plains situated in Assam, Assam state, because where the Brahmaputra Valley is. Actually, River Brahmaputra played a vital role for the formation of Brahmaputra Plains in the east, isn't it? So we call them as Eastern Plains. Eastern Plains also called Brahmaputra Plains, which present in Assam state. Assam state. Okay. So when we talk about Indo-Gangetic Plains or the Northern Plains are very fertile because they were in thus Ganga and Brahmaputra brought the alluvium and deposited along the feet of mountain ranges with 2,400 kilometers from Punjab, Haryana to from Punjab, Haryana to West Bengal. So there is a vast plains situated in the northern part of India in Punjab, Haryana, Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, West Bengal and Jharkhand states. So this is completely fertile. As it was a fertile land which can be support for cultivation. So the farmers of these states can be cultivated various kinds of crops continuously. Okay, over the 3 seasons. You know, there are 3 seasons in our country. What are they? Kharif, Rabi and Zayyad. So Kharif season is also called rainy cropping season, which will be start in the month of June to September. Okay, next second season is called Rabi. Okay, Rabi season which starts in winter season. Okay, by end of September it will be start to February it is. Next summer cropping season is the third one, which is also called Zayyad season. So the farmers of northern plains can be cultivate various kinds of crops continuously in 3 seasons because the plains which consist of fine soil, fertile soil with plenty of water. You know, river Ganga, Indus and Brahmaputra, okay, pumping the water continuously throughout the year. No break it. In all the seasons, it has to be flow. They were the perennial, I told you. But when it comes to South India, there are the rivers, but they were not perennial. They were the non-perennial rivers. For example, you know, Godavari river, it is not a perennial. It doesn't flow continuously throughout the year, no. It flows only during the time of rainy season, isn't it? But in next 2 seasons, it is dry. Even the Krishna and Kaveri, Mahanadi, Narmada, and Tapati rivers also. So the rivers which flows over South India doesn't perennial. They were the non-perennial. Okay. So northern plains of India can be support for cultivation extensively. So we have seen the density of population is more over there. You know what is meant by density of population? The number of people lives for 1 square kilometer. Then how much number of people living per 1 square kilometer is called density of population. You know, there is a high density of population which present in northern part of India, in northern states, because there are the plains with fertile soil. Okay, and the agriculture is very prosperous. So then the people has to live in the northern part of India, than the southern part. Clear? So Indo-Gangetic plains are very important for our Indian economy. It is clear. So let us moving on. The next important physical feature. The next important physical feature is a peninsular plateau. Peninsular plateau, right? Right. So peninsular plateau is the oldest land block. This is the oldest physical feature. It was formed by volcanic eruption. Now, so Indian peninsula or Indian plateau is known as the peninsular plateau, which lies in the peninsular part of India. You know, as I told you yesterday, India is a peninsula. Why? Because the piece of land which covers 3 sides of water. In the east, Bay of Bengal lies. In the west, Arabian Sea. In the south, Indian Ocean. Isn't it? In Indian Peninsula, there was a plateau called Peninsular Plateau. Okay. So this entire Peninsular Plateau, which consists of old crystalline, metamorphic, and hard igneous. Hard igneous. So what are they? They were the rocks. Actually, the entire peninsular plateau which consists of rocks, because this plateau region which emerged by volcanic eruption, volcanic activity to us. So that is why we have seen the rocky terrain only. Okay, undulated rocky terrain with the rounded hills and valleys which present over the peninsular plateau. Now we are living on the peninsular plateau only, or a plateau named as Deccan Plateau. Okay, so this entire plateau which consists of old crystalline, metamorphic, hard igneous, and metallic and non-metallic minerals also. Metallic and non-metallic minerals. Non-metallic minerals. Isn't it? So the question is that what peninsular plateau consists of? The peninsular plateau consists of old crystalline, metamorphic, hard igneous, metallic and non-metallic mineral resources. Clear? So this entire peninsular plateau, which could be divided into two broad divisions. We'll discuss about the divisions of the peninsular plateau, right? The peninsular plateau broadly divided into two broad divisions. They are central highlands. Central highlands. Next to Deccan Plateau. Okay. Central highlands also called Malwa Plateau. Malwa Plateau. Central highlands also called Malwa Plateau. So let us see the map. So where was Malwa Plateau and the Central Highlands situated? So this is entire Malwa Plateau. But this plateau had different names in different states. So this is locally named as Bundelkhand Plateau, Baghelkhand Plateau, and Chota Nagpur Plateau. See, Chota Nagpur Plateau is the northeastern extension of Peninsular Plateau. Northeastern extension. See, this is extended towards to northeast. Then extended towards to northeast. So northeastern extension of Peninsular Plateau is called Chota Nagpur Plateau. Chota Nagpur. Important. Chota Nagpur Plateau. So this Chota Nagpur Plateau which consists of minerals. So very important bit. So which of the following plateau consists of mineral resources? It is famous for the mineral resources. What is? Because Chota Nagpur Plateau it is. All kinds of mineral resources available over there. That is why this plateau, compared with the Ruhr of India. Actually, Ruhr is a district is in Germany. We have to compare the district with our plateau region. That Ruhr district also rich in the mineral resources. Okay, so we have to compare with that district with the our Chota Nagpur plateau region is. Okay, so this Central Highlands or the Malwa Plateau had two kinds of mountain ranges. In the northwest, Satpura Mountains situated. Sorry, Aravalli Mountains. Aravallis. As I told you yesterday, Aravalli Mountains are one of the oldest folded mountains in the world. Okay, oldest folded mountains are. But what are the youngest folded mountains? Himalayas are the youngest and folded mountains, isn't it? See, the northwestern part of Malwa Plateau is Aravalli Mountains, and the southern part of this plateau was Satpura, the Vindhya Mountains. Now, the Vindhya Mountains lies in the south of Malwa Plateau. So this is the south direction of south direction goes. So when it comes to Deccan Plateau which lies north of Narmada River. This is Narmada River, which is the best flowing river of our country. Best flowing river it is. Right now. So north of Narmada or north of Satpura Mountains are. Now these are Vindhya Mountains. These are Satpura mountains. So what are the mountains situated north of Deccan Plateau? Satpura mountains. Okay. So this Narmada river, which can be divided the plateau region into two broad divisions. Northern part is called the Malwa Plateau. Southern part is called the Deccan Plateau. Right? So Deccan Plateau situated in the Indian Peninsula as a triangular landmass, which is edged by Western Ghats along the west coast to Eastern Ghats along the east coast. Then what are the eastern edges of Deccan Plateau? Eastern Ghats. Western edges are the Western Ghats. Okay, and now the southern edge of this Deccan Plateau Nilagiri Mountains. You know where were the Nilagiri Mountains situated? In Tamil Nadu state. Okay, the famous hill station which lies over the Nilagiri Mountains is Ooty or Udakamandalam. Okay, I hope you well known what were the hill stations are. There were the summer resorts which present in the Himalayan region also. For example, Simla, Mussoorie, Nainital, Ranikhet. What were they? They were the hill stations which present in the Himalayan region or the summer resort. Okay, in the same way, in southern part of India also, there was only one summer resort is called Ooty or Udakamandalam, which is situated upon the Nilagiri mountains. Nilagiri mountains. Okay. See, Nilagiri mountains are the meeting point of eastern and western Ghats. The eastern and western Ghats which made it over the Nilagiri mountains. Clear? So let us moving on to discuss about eastern and western Ghats. See, as I told you that the northern plains are very fertile with plenty of water which can be support for cultivation, but the plateau region doesn't support for cultivation because this is the rocky terrain and valleys and rounded hills are there. Okay, no level lands. Okay, we have seen over there, no fertile land, and the rivers which flows over the peninsular plateau is non-perennial. Example, river Narmada, river Tapati are the west flowing, river Mahanadi, Godavari, Krishna and Kaveri are the east flowing non-perennial rivers. So there is no water facilities or no irrigation network over this peninsular plateau region, so that the agriculture is not very possible it is when we compare to northern plains of India. Clear? So let us moving on. Okay, the Ghats. There are the two Ghats which present over Indian peninsula along the east and the west coast. We call them as Eastern Ghats and the Western Ghats. First of all, we'll discuss about the Western Ghats. So where are the Western Ghats situated? Western Ghats situated along the west coast of India from Konkan to Kanyakumari with 1600 kilometers height. The height of Western Ghats are 1600 kilometers. Okay, but when they meet at near Nilagiri Hills, the height increases to 2000 meters. Then the height of these Ghats are 2000 meters when they reaches to Nilagiri mountains. Clear? So, the highest peak in the Western Ghats, we'll discuss. Highest peak in the Western Ghats, Annai Mudi, upon the Annamalai Hills. Annamalai Hills. And where are the Annamalai Hills? Annamalai Hills are situated in Tamil Nadu state, where the highest peak is situated. Right now. So, Annai Mudi is the highest peak in the Western Ghats. Annai Mudi is the highest peak in Annamalai Hills. Annai Mudi is the highest peak in the Peninsular Plateau also, or in South India. So there is important bit. So which of the following is the highest peak in Peninsular Plateau, or highest peak in India, or highest peak in the Western Ghats? Their answer is Annai Mudi. The height of this peak is 2695 meters. But do you know the highest peak in India? Kanchenjunga. Highest peak in the world? Everest. So don't you confuse. Highest peak in the world? Everest. Highest peak in India? Kanchenjunga. But most of the students are thinking that K2 is the highest peak. K2 is not the highest peak in India. Okay, because actually K2 peak is in Jammu and Kashmir. It is one of the highest peak only. But it is comes under POK. Means what? Pak occupied Kashmir. Then the Pakistan occupied northern part of Jammu and Kashmir in 1947 war. So that the K2 peak is okay moved towards to POK, means Pak occupied Kashmir. That is why we are not at all considering K2 peak is the highest peak in India, but we consider the Kanchenjunga is the highest peak only, right? See here, Annaimodi is the highest peak in South India. Okay, na? Annaimodi is the highest peak in Annamalai Hills. Annaimodi is the highest peak in Peninsular Plateau also. Peninsular Plateau. Right now. So coming into Nilagiri mountains are the meeting point of Eastern and Western Ghats. The highest peak in the Nilagiri is Doda Betta. Important. Doda Betta. Right now. So Doda Betta is the highest peak in Nilagiri. Nilagiri mountains only. Nilagiris. Doda Betta is the highest peak in Nilagiri mountains only. But the highest peak in the South India, you have to answer for Annaimodi is the peak. So this is an important peak nowadays. Clear? So let us moving on the Eastern Ghats. So Eastern Ghats situated along the east coast or the Bay of Bengal coast too, but there are so many passes in the Eastern Ghats. And Eastern Ghats are not very high. There are a lot of passes are there because the river Godavari, Krishna and Kaveri river flow cut the Eastern Ghats and drains into the Bay of Bengal. Okay. So, but what is the highest peak in the Eastern Ghats? Here important. Highest peak in Eastern Ghats, Arayakonda or Aramakonda. Arayakonda, Aramakonda is the highest peak in Eastern Ghats. This have to remember. So this is in Eastern Ghats. Okay. This is in Eastern Ghats. Okay, my dear students. So then let you remember that what is the highest peak in Annamalai Hills? The answer to Annaimodi. Highest peak in Nilagiri is Doda Betta. Right now, highest peak in Eastern Ghats is Aramakonda, which lies in Visakhapatnam district. Visakhapatnam. Okay. So let us moving on. The next important relief feature of India is coastal plains. Okay. Coastal plains. See, India has the longest coastal line, right? With 6,100 kilometers from Gujarat to West Bengal. Gujarat to West Bengal. That is why the coastal places has been enjoying moderate climate, very pleasant climate which is situated along the coast of India. For example, Mumbai, or else Goa, or Trivandrum, right? Or Chennai, or Vijayawada, or Bhubaneswar, or Kolkata. Okay, which is the capital of West Bengal, has been enjoying cooler climate or the pleasant climate even in peak summers. Because of water body situated, or else the piece of land which cover 3 sets of water. No, just the cold winds which can be affect the coastal areas and the coastal regions, so that it has been enjoying the moderate climate. Okay. See, but where are the coastal plains situated is now question. Coastal plains are situated in between Western Ghats and Arabian Sea and Eastern Ghats and the Bay of Bengal. So let you understand the differences between Eastern and the Western coastal plains. First of all, we'll discuss about the Western coastal plains, right? Western coastal plains. Next to Eastern coastal plains. Eastern coastal plains. See, in order to understand about the plains, just we have to know the differences between two plains varieties. First difference is Western coastal plains lies in between Western Ghats and Arabian Sea. Western Ghats and Arabian Sea, right? See the Western Ghats are, where are the Western Ghats? Along the west coast of India now. These Western Ghats also known as Sahyadri Mountains. What now? Sahyadri Mountains are. In between Western Ghats and the Arabian Sea, there are the plains called as Western Coastal Plains, right? Next, coming into Eastern Coastal Plains, Eastern Coastal Plains situated in between Eastern Ghats and the Bay of Bengal. Bay of Bengal, or along the east coast of India or the Bengal coast it was. First difference it is, right? Coming into second difference is Western Coastal Plains are narrower. Western Coastal Plains are narrower, but Eastern Coastal Plains are wider. Okay, what is the second difference between the two? These plains are narrower. See that they are the Western Ghats now. See, the Western Ghats are higher, as I told you that. Western Ghats are higher. Obviously, the Western Coastal Plains are narrower. Clear? But coming into Eastern Coastal Plains are wider, because the Eastern Ghats are not much higher than the Western Ghats. So, these are wider, these are narrower. Next, third difference is, so there are the deltas. There are no deltas in Western Coastal Plains, no deltas. But there are deltas in Eastern Coastal Plains. Deltas are there. So do you know River Godavari? Okay, River Godavari, River Krishna, River Kaveri emerges over the Western Ghats and moving towards the east and drains into Bay of Bengal. Yes, no. Before they are going to drains into Bay of Bengal, they formed a largest delta as Godavari Delta, Krishna Delta, and the Kaveri Deltas are. You know, the deltas are much support for cultivation with fine soil, you know that, isn't it? So no deltas in the Western Coastal Plains, but the deltas in Eastern Coastal Plains. Why there was no deltas? Because see now, the Western Coastal Plains are very narrow now. This is the reason, right now. See next to fourth difference we will discuss. There are no lakes in the Western Coastal Plains, but the lakes in the Eastern Coastal Plains. See what are the lakes are? Chilka Lake, remember it. Chilka Lake, Pulicat Lake, and Kolleru. I hope you well know these lakes are. Most of you know about Pulicat and Kolleru. Okay, where is Kolleru Lake situated? In between River Godavari and River Krishna. In between the two rivers, there was a lake. It is called Kolleru. It is the freshwater lake, right? Yes, coming into Pulicat Lake. So Pulicat Lake is the saltwater lake which lies in between Andhra Pradesh and Telangana, Tamil Nadu. Okay, in between East and Tamil Nadu state there was a lake is called Pulicat. It is saltwater lake, right now. And Chilka is the lake which is in Odisha state. In Odisha there it is. So this is the largest saltwater lake. Largest saltwater lake it was. Do you know the largest freshwater lake in India, Unar Lake, is in Jammu and Kashmir. Now Jammu and Kashmir also have the lakes, but most of them freshwater lakes only, because the melting of glaciers, the melting of snow, the water drains snow. That is why. So there is no salt, but the freshwater is nothing but the freshwater lakes only going to form in the Himalayan zone it is, or the Himalayan region. Okay, Unar Lake is the largest freshwater lake in India, but Chilka Lake is the largest salt water lake in India. So there are the lakes in the Eastern Coastal Plains, but no lakes in the Western Coastal Plains. One of the difference it is, right now. Next, Western Coastal Plains, not much support for cultivation. Cultivation is not possible in the Western Coastal Plains because they are very narrow now. Okay, the rivers Actually, two rivers passes through the western coastal plains. They are river Narmada, river Tapati. Okay, both the rivers. But that rivers directly drains into Arabian Sea. Directly drains into. No deltas are going to form. But the delta is formed by Godavari, Krishna, and Kaveri rivers. Okay. So the agriculture is not much support for support over the western coastal plains, but the agriculture is very prosper in the eastern coastal plains. You know, the Andhra Pradesh state which is present over the eastern coastal plains, which is the food or the bowdown of India it is. Okay, various kinds of food grains can be cultivated by the farmers of Andhra Pradesh state, isn't it? So that is why the eastern coastal plains can be support for cultivation, but not the western coastal plains are, right? See, let you know, the western coastal plains can be broadly divided as okay, three broad divisions. First one is Konkan coast. Konkan. So what is Konkan? Konkan is the name of the western coastal, the west coast of Maharashtra and Goa. My students, Maharashtra and Goa coast is known as Konkan, right? Next, Karnataka coast will be started from here. Karnataka coast is known as Canara. Canara coast. Next, Kerala will be start from here. Kerala coast. So Kerala coast is known as Malabar. Malabar. Right now. So there are three coasts which present in the western side are Konkan, Canara, and Malabar. Like coming into eastern coast also divided into three broad divisions. They are, this is Tamil Nadu state coast will be start. Tamil Nadu coast up to here now, right? So this coast is known as Coromandel. Coromandel coast. Okay, Tamil Nadu coast is known as Coromandel. Coromandel coast is dry during southwest monsoon season. You know the monsoons hit the India in the month of June, isn't it? To September. But the entire nation get bulk of rainfall during this season except Coromandel coast, because the Coromandel coast is situated leeward side of Eastern Ghats or parallel to Eastern and Western Ghats. This is the reason Coromandel coast doesn't get rain during southwest monsoon season, but gets by cyclonic depressions occurred in Bay of Bengal. You know, cyclones which hit the coastal areas in the month of November, December, no? Every year. Okay. Next coast is known as Sarkar of Andhra Pradesh. This is Andhra Pradesh state coast, no? So Andhra Pradesh state coast is known as Sarkar. Important, right? Next, Odisha coast will be start from here. Okay, up to Bengal, West Bengal. So this Odisha coast is known as Utkal coast, right? The western and eastern coastal plains can be broadly divided as three in the east and three in the west. Okay, western coastal plains named as Konkan, Canara, Malabar. Eastern coastal plains named as Coromandel, Sarkar, and Utkal coastal. My dear students have to remember the names of the states. As I told you that Maharashtra and Goa coast is known as Konkan. Okay, two states together. Next, Karnataka coast is known as Canara. Kerala coast is known as Malabar. Tamil Nadu coast is known as Coromandel. Andhra Pradesh state coast is known as Sarkar, and the Odisha coast is known as Utkal. Have to remember. And the coast are important for map pointing it is. Asking for mapping. Locate Konkan coast. Asking. Locate Coromandel coast. Asking. Okay, locate the given lakes also. Chilka, Pulicat, and Kolleru lakes. So as I am point outing in the map also. See now. Okay, Chilka lake it is. This is Kolleru lake. This is Pulicat lake. And also rivers. How to remember them. Look, where are the rivers are it is? River Godavari, Krishna, and Kaveri are it is. Okay. So this is information about the coastal plains are. Okay. So just have to remember as a 4-mark question for public examinations, asking you the differences between eastern and western coastal plains. Okay. So tomorrow in the class we discuss about Thor desert, okay, and islands. Okay, rest of two physical features we'll discuss tomorrow in the class. Okay, thank you all. Have a nice day.